into Wales. Wales to do a goal. Slots it beyond Fodringer. And the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin. He can hit them. And he does. The Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello everybody, welcome back. This is New York Talk, the Rotherham United podcast. We have news to talk about, Rotherham news as well as a preview. We'll talk about all the director of football, non-signings, preview the Middlesbrough game over the next hour or so. See what we can cover. Mick's back with us. How you doing, Mick?
All good, mate. Thank you.
Very, very good. Thank you very much. Danny's back. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
Top man. And Tom's back. How are you doing, Tom?
Yeah, good. I'm good.
Perfect. Thank you all for being with us. We've got loads in the comments. Dave Carroll, Martin Holland, Derek Charleston, Kenneth Bobbs, loads of people with us. I missed some of you out there. Thank you for being with us. Rotherham United coming to the 21st century. We have a director of football. Rob Scott gets essentially a promotion from head of recruitment. We'll start there because why not? Because it's big news, I suppose. Nick, modern clubs nowadays have a director of football. This is generally how modern football clubs are run. They have a guy who is essentially an intermediary between the chairman or the board and the footballing side of things as well. Realistically, we've been crying out for this kind of role to be in place for quite some time now. And it's finally here.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably the best man for the job, given his experience of the club, his experience in recruitment, his contacts that he's got within the game, and his passion for the club. He's been here, as he said in his interview, since 1990. You know what I mean? He's been here for ages. I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased it's been done, and it's a sign to me that the club are still looking to move forward despite what's going on on the pitch. It's all positive as far as I'm concerned, and the right man for the job as well.
Yeah, because this is something down that it's in place no matter what happens this season. This appointment hasn't been done to keep us up this season. This is something that's been done to hopefully make next season a bit better, to make the season after a bit better, to get a long-term structure in place, so we're not getting Alan Stubbs in and then getting Warnock in. It's to have this idea of continuity. There we go. That's the idea behind it, Dan. I mean, you can't really argue with it for me.
No, I don't think you can either. I mean, at many a fan forum in the past, we've been crying out for a director of football, just to be that bridge between the two. And even now we've actually got one. People are still moaning about it because we've not gone and got someone else's director of football and piffled them. But I actually agree with what Tony Stewart said about it. It seemed like the natural progression to promote Rob Scott from within. Because by the sounds of it, he'd been doing a lot more than just being the head of recruitment. Towards the end of his sort of tenure in that job, he was sort of doing here, there and everywhere. Whereas now he's the proper bridge between the boards and the manager. And he is now the person that says to the manager, what do you want? This, that and other. Right. This is what he wants. This is the recruitment structure to get it. And it, like you said, Matt, it feels very 21st century of us to be now doing that. And I'm very happy that it is Rob Scott because, like you said, Mick, he seems to be someone who gets the football club. I think he said 98 off the top of my head. I think is what he said. He's been here since, not off and on. And I agree with what he said. It doesn't feel like it's like all panic stations, director of football keepers in the championship. No, I think this is a case of taking the club forward as much as possible in a short space of time. And I hope that we see the progression quickly. Like, don't get me wrong, we've not really seen it in January so far, which is a little bit of a sticking point. But for future transfer windows, for future managers, depending on however long Lee Richardson's here, we should start seeing the progression and being more organised between the top brass and the playing side of everything as well.
Scott Gunner says it won't make a difference. Robbie's doing the same job he's been doing for months now. Similar job, similar role, but it's about putting that structure in place, Tom. So, if Rob Scott has to leave in a year's time, we get somebody else in to do that role, so we still have that continuity. It's a really boring sort of corporate thing that's happened. It's football, so we're meant to be excited about things that happen at a football club, but this is a kind of a boring thing which should really help in the long term.
Yeah, no, it will help long term, but I agree with that. He has been doing this since Warren left. Really, I think it's not been structured since Warren left, and it just goes to show how much that guy did behind the scenes, not just on the football, on the football pitch, but off the football pitch. He put in his own philosophy and his own, and everything worked by him. He was as Scott said in his interview, the spearhead of the operation. He was the kind of cult figure, and when he left, it threw everything off, and Taylor tried to pick up the pieces and couldn't. So I think appointing Scott as head of recruitment is head of director of football is good, but can he do two jobs? Is it still worth him being head of recruitment? I mean, obviously, head of recruitment and director of football are going to work extremely close anyway, but is it not worth, if you don't want to hire from outside, is it not worth, you've got, I don't know how many scouts we have about Europe and England, but is it worth maybe promoting one of them to head of recruitment, bringing in another scout, and having just a bit more, just having Rob Scott a bit more focused on the director of football role and having someone a bit more focused on the head of recruitment role? I'm never ever a pessimist, but when I was watching the interview, it didn't fill me with any kind of nothing really. It was just a bit more of a It was a name change of something that we'd known has been going on for the whole season. Obviously, it's good to get it in place now, but it's now, instead of Scott doing head of recruitment and then a little bit of director of football role without actually being director of football, it just sounds like he's now the director of football whilst also being head of recruit. It just doesn't. He might prove me completely wrong, and I hope he does, but one man cannot do two jobs, and especially two jobs of that importance. It's a tough ask for him. So I think maybe not leave recruitment behind for him, but definitely take a step back and oversee the important parts rather than being head of recruitment as well. I feel like we just need a bit more help on that front now. But absolutely, I couldn't think of anyone better to be director of football. I think that appointment is fantastic in itself.
Yeah, you make a good point on recruitment. It wasn't much mentioned. But it's one of those things that you may have half promoted somebody to be sort of take his role a little bit. But if it's somebody we don't know, they're not necessarily going to.
If that's the case, and somebody is essentially now head of recruitment that we have no idea about, that's fine. But until that gets announced, you can't really assume that. So going off what they've said, it's not really. I mean, obviously they want a lot more of a change behind the scenes, which is perfect. We're in a much better position now than we have been for ages, but relatively off the pitch. But yeah, whether it changes stuff on it, who knows? Just wait and see.
Yeah, it will be certainly not me. So Troops says, hope it's not more cropped players, lads. He thinks it's a cheap option. Yeah, I suppose, but I don't know.
It's a very negative way of looking at it, isn't it? It's a really negative way of looking at it, and I get why people want to, why people feel that way, given what's happening on the pitch. But if you've got a head coach / manager whose role is to coach the players, pick the team, work on the match day squad, etc., but he's also booking hotels, and he's looking at pitch, and he's looking at this, and he's looking at that, and he's checking what under 16s are doing, and all these things that are not related directly at all to the match day squad. If you're taking all those roles off the manager / head coach, how can that not be a good thing? I don't get my head around it. How can it not impact positively on the match day experience for not match day experience, but the match day performance. It can only be a positive. Rob Scott, as head of recruitment, given the title was head of recruitment, that suggests, and we know, that there are people also working in the recruitment department. Otherwise, he won't be head of recruitment; he'd just be a recruiter.
Yeah.
So all he's doing is taking off Liam Richardson all those roles that are superfluous, that are unnecessary and don't impact on the match day squad. Those roles that Paul Warne had to perform, those roles that Matt Taylor took it upon himself to perform, to try and change the culture of the club and everything else that he wanted to do, all these plans that he had, took him away from that match day, his match day involvement, if you like, or the build up and the coaching and everything else. Liam Richardson, his head coach, his job is to coach that first team, pick that first team, and decide on tactics and work on tactics and everything else. Not to fanny about booking a hotel in wherever. It takes up his time. So I don't see why it's a negative. The fact that you've got somebody within your organisation already who is more than capable of performing that role to a high level, why is that a cheap option? And if it is a cheap option, why is it negative? Why would you then say, well, we've got somebody who's been doing it for however long, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll leave him in as head of recruitment. We'll go and spend some more money on somebody else who's got nothing to do with a match day, with the first team. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's this appointment for me seems a very, very good appointment in terms of Rob Scott, and what sits behind it, the work he's taking on, the workload he's taking on, can only also positively impact the first team. I don't see a negative in it personally, but
Can I ask a question that you can completely blase over? But so if you consider our recruitment before Warne left, and you look at the likes of who Scott brought in, you look at Ogbeni, Barlaser, Crooks, Johansson, just players who have come, done well, and left. And then you think about after he left, and when you assume Scott's taken more of that kind of director of football role, and you think, has the recruitment been that good? Have we brought in anyone who's been of that quality? I mean, even Rathbone you put in that field, and a Dauphin. I mean, he's not had long. I know that, to bring in these players, but the players that we have brought in since they haven't been of the same caliber. And I don't know. Again, this could just be me being a bit devil's advocate, but it just seems a bit more like, since Scott's taken a role that's not recruitment, he's not had time to focus on it as much, and therefore he's leaving it to other people who maybe aren't as qualified. I say as qualified, but it just doesn't seem like our recruitment is as it was. I mean, I used to think I thought we had the best recruitment in League One, even going into Championship. I thought we had an amazing recruitment system, and now it just seems a bit meh.
I don't know. It depends on the players that you're talking about, doesn't it? Rob Scott has brought in the players or type of players that Matt Taylor asked him to bring in, and then Matt Taylor failed to get a tune out of them. Yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So we don't know. A lot of this we don't know is the answer. Because then that's kind of the role of director of football. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff you don't actually see. Harry says, very nice to hear from Tony Stewart. Thought he spoke well and was very open about the board and the structure. It was a good interview. And that's another positive, Danny, that we tweeted from the account earlier, that a lot of clubs were just saying, right, there's a structural change, 2 paragraphs, off you go. It was good that the first time we heard from Tony Stewart since that Leeds interview pre the Leeds game, and we heard from Scott sort of post that a little bit as well. They were good interviews. They were solid interviews, and I don't know. I just like, if you're going to do things like that, I think the club has done a good thing by putting these guys in front of the camera and just sort of explaining the situation, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's the club being as open as they can be with things like this, because I think if you're too open with, this is the board structure, this is where the money comes from, etc., etc., it sort of takes away the mystery of the football in a weird way. But also at the same time, having the chairman in front of the camera and the new director of football in front of the camera, like you say, it could have very easily done a behind the scenes interview, put it out as an article, and gone, "That's what's happened. There you go." But they've took the time to really sort of settle the boat with the whole thing. Really, I agree. I thought Tony Stewart spoke really well, and he gave a bit more insight into everything. And I not appreciated sort of the wrong word, but I liked how you could hear the emotion in his voice when he talks about how disappointing it was that they had to change managers, because at least at board level they really believed in Matt Taylor, and I think a lot of fans did as well. However, it didn't work out, and I think it was, well, at least what they were trying to hint at was that it was Matt Taylor's ethos which sort of brought in the official director of football thing. Because like Rob Scott said, he wanted to bring it back to how Rotherham United should feel, which is what I like to hear. I've seen a few people mention about, they're just saying what the fans want to hear. Well, maybe that's because that's the direction they're trying to turn it in now. They want to turn it in the direction that fans want to see. So yeah, from a journalism point of view, it's come across really well from the pair of them, and I'm glad they've put it out as the full 40 minutes, sort of insight documentary almost, rather than having the individual clips go out, because it really sort of like settles you down and sets the tone for what we want to do going forward. But the one thing I have to say is sign some players, damn it. We need that bit now. As soon as we sign some players and we like who we've signed, that's it, everyone's settled, we're fine, away we go again. But I also like how they didn't shy away from the fact that they understand this season's not going the best, but they haven't given up hope yet. Something could still happen, but at the same time, they said, regardless of what happens, we're going to support Liam Richardson, which is like, yeah, fair. Yeah. But I think that's the whole vibe of the interview, really. It's just, yeah, fair. And I think that's the best outcome given the situation is the wider topic anyway.
Phil asks, it also begs the question, is the coach's side, does the director of football go also? No. So the idea behind the director of football is if we do have a change of manager, that the director of football is in charge of the pathway for the club, so it can get a manager that fits into the pathway that we're trying to go down. That's the idea behind it. Obviously, if it keeps failing, then obviously that's a different question about if he's doing his job properly, but that's the idea behind it, basically. Scott Gwynn says, I know where we are as a club in our ranking, but Tony Stewart said he invested an extra £2 million. It did hit home how far off we are financially in the division. Yeah, it did, because £2 million don't feel like anything, does it, in Championship nowadays? Tom, I'm going to ask you a difficult question. What are your hopes, bearing in mind this change now, what do you hope this brings to the club? Do you think, are you just wanting more of the same, more positivity, more step of direction? Do you want more, do you want to just see better facilities? Do you want training grounds, a bit of a dump? What's important? What do you hope this will bring in terms of positive steps to the club? Stability.
I think that's one thing that I keep mentioning. I think that's one thing that Warren had that Matt Taylor never really got. I think we said it for a while. Taylor tried to run before he could walk, and I just think that just lost all kind of stability around the ground. He'd bring in players on one year contracts, loans, and it never really we never felt secure. Nothing ever felt secure, but my God, the training pitches. If we don't sign a player this January transfer window, but he uses that money to improve the training facility to make them a top League One standard facility, then so be it, because I think that's so much more important, because not only do you have facilities where players aren't going to, get injured on the grass and whatnot, but they have proper rehab facilities, they have proper muscle relax, the ice bath, all that crap, like, seems to work. I don't know. And players are going to be more willing to come. I mean, when they do the videos of the players coming out of little containers and with their boots, and it just doesn't seem like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a football. It just seems like they've gone, it's a temporary training facility, and I God knows when and if they'll ever change it. Hopefully they will change it, but God knows when. And sometimes you got to think that $2 million that Stewart's invested is obviously great. He's invested that's a hell of a lot of money for someone who I don't know how much his net worth is, but surely he's going to be a chunk of his net worth. And to put that into the club is great, but sometimes I think we can't exactly we don't exactly invest it in the right way. I mean, the new stadium's fantastic. We put $1 million in for Nom. We put however 600k or sure for something for Tiahi, and that money's gone relatively well, But at the end of the day, if we don't sign any players, but they come out and say, look, by the end of 2024, we'll have a fantastic training facility. These are the plans for it. This is what it's going to look like. All that 3D imaging, all that. Then I think a lot of fans will turn around and say, I'm disappointed, but okay. I think a lot of fans will be really annoyed on Twitter, but then soon come to realize that, long term it'll work. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where that's what the director of football is saying, and I think from now on it's just been down to Stuart, and Stuart's had one thing in his ear saying this, another thing saying that, and he's just thought performance. Let's not give a crap about the training facilities. It's not going to matter in the long run, but it ultimately does. I mean, you look at, I don't know why I did, but I looked at one of Taylor's interviews for Bristol Rovers, and you look at their facilities, and they're gorgeous. Yeah. They were a League Two side 2 seasons ago, and they're great facilities, and I think that's a huge selling point for a lot of players. I think it's a huge selling point for sponsors, for every commercial aspect you could think of is a reason why you'd want to go there. I mean, you'd get everything about it just screams put $1 million into putting a new training facility. Not even $1 million. I don't know how much it will cost, but up to $1 million for a new training facility, and you triple that in 2 years. It just seems like it was all there at one point. Obviously, nobody knows the logistics of what went down, but it seemed like at one point that was the idea, and it never came to fruition. So who knows?
Yeah, can I just jump in with something here? In Tony Stewart's bit of the interview, he talked about everything's determined on success, right? Now, as a whole, if you look at Tony Stewart's tenure as chairman, we have had success on the football pitch. There's no two ways about that. So, do you think now it's time to look at success from the different angle of it not being on the football pitch, it being better training facility, and then the whole restructuring of the more corporate side of football, if you like? Do you think that's a new aspect that they're looking at now, or do you think it's still success on the football pitch and then do everything else later?
I think this is why direct football is a good thing, because Tony Stewart's come from a background where success is success. Success is profit or building your company or whatever it is. It's black and white, and football's not always black and white in terms of success. Sometimes you need to take a step back or 2 steps back to do your training ground up, for example, to be able to take 4 steps forward and then move yourself onto a more attractive club. So hopefully, with Rob Scott being in football for his life, and he mentioned he's also had some experience in corporate, that he can link those two together and understand and convince Stuart, convince the board that maybe that is something we need to do, because the stadium is beautiful. You look at it and that's a beautiful thing, but then you look behind the curtain and it's just falling to pieces. So I think you're right. I think it is time to look at success differently, or longer term. Maybe it's a better way of looking at it, because I think we need to improve in certain areas, a lot of areas probably that we don't even know about. Mick,
yeah, a football club is very different to a normal business, as you've already pointed out, because there are 2 parts to it. There's the football side and the business side of it. And the business side of it appears to be being run reasonably well. The function rooms are full. They're clearly making some money out of the facilities that they've got. The football side of it is a different matter, and there's been nobody in charge of the football side at all, other than the manager, who's the things I said that the manager was doing were in the interview. Tony Stewart mentioned it, and Rob Scott mentioned some of the roles that the managers have been taking on previously. So there are 2 sides to it, and success off the pitch, I think, as a business, Rotherham United is a reasonably successful business in that sense. On the pitch, from a footballing sense, we are up and down, literally up and down. So how much money Rotherham United as a business is going to make from the footballing side is very much a finite amount, isn't it? You know, we've got an 11,000 seater stadium, which we can just about fill, but not much. And you know, we're still in that situation where the reality is we've probably got 6,000 or 7,000 supporters who will turn up week in, week out, and the remainder are, you know, your sort of modern day football supporters who sing when they're winning kind of scenario. So when we're on a good run, the ground's full. When it's not, people get fed up and walk away. He's never going to make any money out of that. So what do you call success? You know, in order for the club to have success on the pitch, we've got to spend money. It would appear, because that's what everybody else does. But everybody else is spending money that they don't have, and we're not. And for some reason that has turned around into being a bad thing, and I don't understand that. But it's two separate entities ultimately. It's a way you're measuring the success, and as a football supporter, clearly you're going to measure it by what's happening on the pitch, where you sit in the league, which league you're in. But to achieve consistency, and particularly in this division, there's a financial aspect to it, and we ain't going to get that finance. We ain't going to get it. I don't know why people keep thinking that, you know, all of a sudden this magic fairy is going to come out of nowhere and dump £100 million into Rotherham United's transfer kitty or whatever. You know, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. It's just not going to happen, and we're not going to get it through people coming through the gates. But again, it's not going to happen.
We could talk about this all night, couldn't we?
We could, yeah. We could. The bottom line with it is, I think, particularly with Tony Stewart, the interview with Tony Stewart today, I was quite impressed with it. You know, he's clearly got a passion for the club. He's clearly got a passion to do the right thing. You know, take that to one side, take the club out of it. He's a passionate businessman who wants to succeed. You know, he's not going to want to walk away from this as a failure. And a failure is where we are at the moment, bottom of the league, 8 points adrift. That smells of failure. So, you know, he's as passionate as the rest of us to make this right. But you know, how passionate are we? Are we willing to give up our life savings to help this club survive? To help this club not survive, to make this club a success? Because essentially that's what people are asking him to do. You know, he's worked all his life, he's made his money, and now what everybody's saying is, put it into a football club to please me. And that's not right. And we see what happens. And the RUFC put the thread out today about other football clubs within the Championship who outspend. And, you know, we talked about training ground. I hear Reading have got a £6 million training ground. Brilliant. That'll be all right when they put a supermarket on it, won't it? But it's right, though, isn't it? You know, it's all well and good saying we want some players, I want some players. Yeah, we all want some players. Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to make them come? It's just not that simple. But we have to, and then we have to have something to criticise. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. But
yeah,
anyway.
completely. Whatever position we are in the next 2-3 years, as long as we're not in a position of Reading or Wigan, we're doing well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The bottom line is with. Sorry, Danny. Sorry.
No, go on.
The bottom line is, we knew this were coming with Reading. We talked about this.
You called this in pandemic
2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and there are other clubs. It's happened to Wednesdays. It's happened to Reading, and it's going to happen to others because they're spending more money on wages alone than they're getting in.
It's that Preston one where I opened by the way.
Exactly. So if you're getting, for the sake of argument, for round numbers, you're getting £10 million in a year in revenue, and you're paying £15 million, or like Reading, you're getting 10 million in a year and paying out nearly 30 million in wages. Where's all money going to come from for upkeep at stadium and all the other business costs? It doesn't make any sense. And Reading are getting their comeuppance as a club. The set of supporters, I feel for them and everything else, but we called it. And like you said, Preston are another one in that boat. Birmingham were another one in that boat. Sheffield Wednesday were another one in that boat. But what we're doing here as supporters, not all of us, but a lot of supporters are asking, I want my football club, and I want you to spend like those other clubs have spent to get the type of players that they've got in, and sort of the consequences. That's the bottom line when you cut to it, and it's just not right. And I can't get my head around how people can't see what the issue is. It's there, staring you in the face, at the bottom of League One at the moment, and other clubs who've gone through exactly the same scenario. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
we will talk about transfers. We're going to talk about transfers. We've got to cover that as well.
I'll just come in and answer my own question about Arjumeza's success. So Tony Stewart's been chairman for what, just over 15 years, between 15 16 years.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. And from that time, we've gone from points deduction in League Two to being relatively competitive in the Championship in terms of, like I said, relatively competitive. Okay. But we've also won a cup. You know, we've won a cup. We've not won a league yet, unfortunately, but we've won a cup in the Pizza Cup. But that's sort of how you determine success on a football pitch. Like, you look at some clubs, their definition of success is only winning one cup every season. It's like, you know, our success is one cup in the last 10 years, and I was very happy about it because I'm one of the few who've seen Rotherham win a cup. A few people are one of the very few to have seen Rotherham win 2 cups in their lifetime. So in relative terms, on the football pitch, we have been fairly successful for a club of our size. So for me, if we do need, like, not a season of mediocrity, because Rotherham never do that, but if we need just a steady season of football to focus on behind the scenes, because at the minute it's sort of like this, like there's quite a big gulf between football side of it and behind the curtain, if you like, you to use Matt's saying. But if we pull that up higher, what can we achieve with that? So if that does happen, whether it's in the Championship, whether it's in League One, and we just sort of pull everything to be running smoothly together, I'd be happy with that, because as a whole, we have been quite successful over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, we have. Chelsea says we've been in Championship 7 out of the last 10 years. That is success, and it is success. But again, we could go on all night, but that's also not success because you haven't been able to stabilise. So that also means it's not actually successful because you haven't been able to do it. So again, we could go on literally all night about this. We're not going to. A couple more points though. Chris Page says, anyone about what the guest and crimes plan? So Stewart did mention that there was movement on that in his interview. So there might finally be something happening with that building, which we've all been wanted to have for 10 years or whatever it is. John Hensby says, on the Roundwood, problem is Roundwood is that we don't own it, we rent it. Tony Stewart tried to buy it a few occasions, said that they won't sell. And that obviously means, we're not going to spend 10 million quid on a new training ground that we don't own. So that plays into it as well.
That could be one reason why nothing ever happened with the land in Brinsworth. Like, probably bought the land cheap, and then as everything's inflated out of proportion, we just can't afford it to build like a new state-of-the-art facility. Yeah,
we all want that £100 million facility that Leicester have built, don't we? We have a 5-star hotel on the site and everything like that, but it's not going to happen, sadly. Transfers, Tom. Bit of positive, bit of negative. 18th of January, still no movement at all. Rumours are quiet. I don't mind. I don't mind rumours being quiet.
No, that's fine.
But there is no movement. We like we've mentioned, the positive is we've only got one more game and then we've got a break. Then we've got time for transfers. But it's not. It's a concern that we're still sitting here with one centre back, and that's the concern. We're desperate for centre backs. Yeah, we haven't been able to bring anybody for one reason, although we don't know the reasons. But for one reason or that we haven't brought anybody in, and it hurts. It's going to hurt the team tomorrow or Saturday. Sorry, that we don't have these extra bodies in.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Blackett's back in training. That was confirmed by Richardson, and that's positive. That's good. In his press conference today, he said he's still, I don't know the exact word, but maybe he was hopeful that he's going to get one in before the Borough game. But he never says much, does he? No. So we'll see on that. I'm not confident on that statement, but anything's a positive at this point. I think last time I was on, I said it was like 10th, maybe the 11th I was on, and I said, well, let's not worry about it until it gets to like 10 days down, and we're nearing that danger zone. Yeah, it's a bit of a worry. It's a little bit of a worry. I think what you say is I agree with you, Matt. I think no rumours is good. So I think rumours are just a load of rubbish, and I think anything really is a bit rubbish. But at the same time, I think a rumor shows that there's interest, and I think the lack of careful.
Couple of drinks, all right.
Yeah. And then,
normally it's me that's doing that. That makes a nice change.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, I just think with the lack of rumors as well, I just don't know. Again, I agree it's good, but it just makes you think that maybe we're not. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, the Callum Lang interest is, again, it's not a it's not a viable rumor. There's nothing to back it, but it's a rumor that makes sense, and it's a rumor that would be good if it ever came down to it. Yeah, I don't know. No rumor is a good rumor, and I don't think we're gonna have one for a while. Hopefully, we get someone in tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a centre half. Hopefully, we have 2 centre halves fit for Saturday, and hopefully, come the next game, we have Humphreys and Blackett fit again, and then you've doubled your centre backs.
Yeah,
without doing much, and then you've added a good midfielder back as well in Hacks moving back into midfield. So
yeah,
Humphreys and or Blackett coming back is like 2 signings. It's like bringing them back and also getting in a new midfielder. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird scenario we find ourselves in. But what I would say is that the rumor of Callum Lang, I think, is a good indication of this sort of player that we want to bring in. I think he's a cracking player. I think he's a very technical player. I think he's a creative player, and I think if we get him or get the likes of him in, I think it will be a real positive boost. I know you guys spoke a lot about the Stoke game, so I'm not going to discuss it. But I don't see Nombe and Hugo working out. There's no creativity there. There's nothing, and I don't see Ollie starting games anymore, or Bramall for that matter. I think those are 3 key areas of the pitch, especially with the formation that we play, and three areas that we really need to improve.
Yeah. Like we said, mate, we're one fit centre back. Tom's right. A couple of weeks time, we could be sitting here when we play Southampton next. Easy game. Cam Humphreys could be on bench. Sal Blackett could be on bench. We could be sitting here, and that is great. But having been a football fan for 25 years, I'm sure when they come back, somebody else will get injured. That's just how football. It may not be as long term, but there's going to be niggles. So we need reinforcements in this squad at the minute. How would you feel on it, mate? Because there are still 12, 13 days left of the transfer window. That's a long time. It's almost 2 weeks, obviously. So there's time. But Liam Rish said he wanted a job done early, ideally. I'm sure he was just talking in ideal world. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure he wasn't sort of saying we'll have them all signed by 1st of January. But we've got 2 games after the Fulham game without any reinforcements, and depending on what we got in, that may have made a difference against Stoke. It may have made a difference against Middlesbrough. Are you concerned at all?
No, not particularly. I don't think this has gone any different to how we all expected. We talked about it on the last podcast. We're bottom of the food chain in this division. We are going to have to wait to see who's available.
Well, I'll jump in, sorry, but I didn't mention this. The AFCON and the Asia Cup will have also impacted other clubs letting loanees out as well, which is also something to factor in. Yeah,
precisely. So there are going to be less players available for the time being. So and January transfer windows tend to be very slow anyway. So it'd be great to have got all our business done really early and sit on it, but that's not going to happen for all the reasons that we've previously discussed. We're going to have to take what's there, what's available to us. Hopefully, like I said last time on the last podcast, hopefully Liam Richardson will have some contacts somewhere, and there may well be, and obviously the Callum Lang rumour is an indication that that's the case. That he's trying to tap up some of his previous players who he knows will fit into the way that he wants to play. So We'll have to wait and see. On the plus side, 18 days in, there's been no interest in Victor yet, which is fantastic. You know, so we'll have to keep that that under our hat until the end of the transfer window.
Which also raises the question that we aren't looking to offload players to bring money in to go and buy some other players. We are quite happy just to sit and just go, well, as long as this core group don't leave and we can add, hopefully, here, there and everywhere, then we'll be all right. So that's actually quite a nice position to be in, where people aren't coming in and going, oh, we'll buy such and such for so-and-so because we need the money. So that also shows a slight stability, which is quite nice, even though no one's through the door yet, even though some people have put a name or so in the comments as well, which is an interesting one. But yeah, I'm sorry to jump in on that, mate, but it is really good that Victor's just quiet. Like, there's no rumours from any of the how do I word it nicely? The more out there rumour accounts, shall we say, that think we're signing Chris Evans again.
To be fair, Danny, they haven't even been created yet. So, you know,
last week at window.
Schools have been back as well, so they'll have had some homework these last couple of weeks, you know, to get in after Christmas break. So once that calms down, I'm sure they'll be creating some new accounts and some new garbage coming out. Anyway, yeah.
Let me ask you a hypothetical, Danny. I'm asking you, not Mick. If this was it, if this was the team, if there was a failure and there was no signings between now and the end of the window, which is unlikely, very unlikely, but it is a possibility, how would you feel about
that? I wouldn't feel pleased, that's for sure, because I do think we need to add in certain areas. I think we need to add up top potentially, just because there's no goal threat. I don't know whether that needs tweaking or we need to bring in just different options, or someone who's more of a wide-based striker, effectively because we've lost Andre Green, really. And I mean, with the centre-back thing, we could do with like at least one, because we've got one centre-back who won't be back now short-term, which is Grant Hall, but there's potentially two coming back in the near future. But it'd just be nice. Fergie. What's that, sorry?
Maybe Fergie as well. Maybe
Fergie as well. So you can sort of see why there's been no immediate panic buy. We need to get people in because we do have players on the way back. However, it would be nice to have someone come in just so we have a bit more cover. Because it's not helped with Kyoto being ill either, because all of us thought he'd be straight back in, but apparently he's refusing to play because he's ill and at home, which makes sense, really. But if we don't sign anybody, but we don't leave anybody, if we don't sign anybody, but nobody leaves, then I can live with that. But I would like a few people to come in personally.
Yeah, there'd be meltdown. If we didn't sign anybody, there'd be meltdown. It'd be quite funny for a day or two, wouldn't it? Just for that. Yeah, fun. I enjoy it. Harry says if we don't sign anybody, it's Tony Stewart out, Scott out, and it means Miller Bear out as well. Take them all here.
I didn't realise we were going to kill a bear.
If we go down, we're not coming straight back up, and 12 players out of contract. Do you remember we came down under Paul Warren? First time.
Remember that quote.
Oh, we're going to go back down to League Two. It's going to be a disaster. We're never going to see the Championship ever again. We're straight back up. So let's not. First of all, let's not write off the season, and also let's not write off the chances if we do go down, because it's Rotherham United. Nothing is predictable with this damn football club. Nothing. So yeah. Well, as and when rumours come through the football for the transfers, we'll obviously talk about them. Could be busy next 2 weeks or so, couldn't it? You could be seeing 5 players in there when next we might not. Well, we can hope.
It'd be interesting to see what happens with contracts as well, because as soon as the transfer window's done, then we could move on to contracts and see what happens with that.
Well, yeah, we've got Ollie out of contract, but as an option, Hacks out of contract might have an option, don't know.
Lindsay's out as well, I think.
Lindsay's out. Yeah, we'll cover that. We've got some free weekends to cover, so we may do that. Let's talk about the Middlesbrough game. Obviously, we go to the team. We beat them on Boxing Day with the flukiest goal we've had all season. They're a good team, Tom. And they showed on the day that they were a good team, that they lacked edge on the day, massively lacked edge. But they showed last week that they beat Chelsea and were pretty good value for the win against Chelsea. So it's always, the away record, our away record speaks for itself. Are you feeling ahead of the Borough game Saturday?
Yeah, no. Just
not bother.
There's no point, is there? Yeah, I think. I mean, I watched the Villa game as well that they played. Good again, and surprisingly, Barlaser ran both games. It was really weird. I don't know. Like he's a good player or something. Yeah, it's agreed. They had little cutting edge against us, and I think even against those two teams, again, they had a little cutting edge. It was Hayden Hackney, counter attack, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, they didn't look. They looked solidish at the back. They looked Anyway, best thing to say is how they played against us, and that was just similar kind of vibe. They didn't give much away at the back. I think that's one game this season where I've come out thinking we did not deserve anything from that game. Not a draw, not a win, not anything. And that was at home. And it makes me worried for playing them at the Riverside. But, we can catch them on a bad day. They're playing Chelsea 3 days, 4 days later.
3 days.
Is it if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, it's 3 or 4 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, either way, they're playing Chelsea within the week for a place in the final. Mm-hmm. So I know which game I care about more, and it's not even our game. No, I'm kidding. It's Carrick's not going to send them out and think, look, boys, just don't get injured tonight, because he's not that kind of character. I don't think many of their players are that kind of character. I think they'll go out and they will try, but I don't think they'll be at 100. I don't think they'll play their best 11. I don't think this, that, and I don't think that. And I think if it comes to Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever it is, and they end up losing but beating us, I think a lot of their fans are going to be on their backs thinking, well, why didn't we do, this, that, and the other? So who knows? Maybe we've got a chance with their minds preoccupied, but, the only way we're winning is with ifs. And that's just the situation that we're in at the minute. We just can't compete with teams with those types of teams who are gonna hurt us, who are good technically, quick technically. I can't see anything but a loss, especially with our record, unfortunately, which means that we'll probably beat them 3-0. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're up to 30 games without a win away from home. I think Fulham was the 30th.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
The good thing is it scares every team we come up against, because every team goes, oh well, this is the game they're going to win. So everybody's scared of us a little bit at the minute, just because they're worried that they're going to be the one that actually loses. If you want a bit more from the Borough, we spoke to Dana from the Borough Breakdown, which is on the YouTube channel already. So if you want to hear about their season so far, we talked about Dan Barlaser coming into his own over the last month or so as well. We have to talk about him because we do. Because we like him. Go check that out as well. And if you listen to Borough Breakdown podcast, they've done a bit of a preview for us as well. Shelley says, isn't up top that needs changing. When we're playing 5 at the back, all we do is soak up pressure, clear the ball and repeat. There's no attempt to change it. That's the issue. It is an issue, Mick, to an extent, but there is a difference to the way that Liam Richardson's doing it, to the way that Matt Taylor did it.
Yeah.
Again, I always hark back to that Cardiff game. That Cardiff game when Matt Taylor, we were never going to win that game of football. No. But against Plymouth, we could have won that. Against Blackburn, we should have won that. Against Blackburn, we probably should have won that. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference at home. I think Shelley's right. There's an issue at home, but obviously it's an away game. We've been better under Limbridge away from home than we have at home so far. We've not picked up any wins, but it isn't just sit back and hope for the best. There is a plan. There is a counter. There is attack in the last half an hour at a game. I'm happy with how we've played so far away from home to Limbridge.
Yeah, I am, and as you said, as you rightly point out there, probably, arguably, should have had more points out of those two games. Certainly the Plymouth game and the Blackburn game. I'm. There is a big difference in the way that we've played away from home, and we have looked dangerous. Yes, we've looked vulnerable at times in both games, but we've looked vulnerable all season. But basically, for the whole of the games away from home under the previous regime, so there's definitely an improvement. Whether that will carry on Saturday, given the performance at home last week against Stoke, which was woeful, I would hope that there's going to be some sort of backlash from that in terms of the performance from the players. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion, but I don't think it's an actual one yet. So yeah, there's a chance of getting something from the game. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The way we played away, so that has to be a positive because there weren't before.
No, I agree. Harry says it's a Darren Bond and Keith Stroud combo. Yeah, Mr. Darren Bond is the referee. As the IFC tweeted out, he's given 2 penalties and 2 red cards in the last 4 games that he's refereed Rotherham United. And Keith Stroud, big man Keith, coming off his 600th league game or competitive game, whatever.
What? Why? Surely there are more referees.
Well, the reason is that Darren Bond's a Premier League referee, and
no, he's not, though, is he?
Well, he is. He's technically.
No, why is he refereeing in Championship all the time?
Well, this weekend it's the winter break in it, so there's only 3 or 4 Premier League games, so they don't need as many. And if you're going to be in the Premier League, you think, who don't we need as a referee? Well, Darren Bond's first on the list, isn't it? So
yeah.
So there you go. That's why.
I watched him referee the Blackpool game last night, and he was just his usual.
Was that Bond?
Yeah, that was Darren Bond.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realise it was Darren Bond.
It was his usual inconsistent self, giving 1 foul, and then 2 minutes later, this self-same foul, not giving it. You know?
Anyway, save it for the post-match.
Say again?
Save it for after the game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
Shelley comes back on, so 92 minutes, we were 1-0 down at home, still positioned with 5 at the back, no shot on target, attempt to change the shape, so long as we play out from the back, though, that's all that matters. I don't think there's an issue personally with 5 at back. We played some great stuff under Paul Warne with 5 at back, some brilliant attacking stuff with 5 at back. 5 that's not an issue. It's how you support the strikers that's the problem, and you can do that with 3 in midfield, and that's the problem at home. Anyway,
I think, with the greatest respect to Shelley, I think this playing out from the back trope is a red herring. It really is. We do it. We don't do it consistently. We're not trying to do it all the time. Occasionally, it happens. You know, he's trying to mix it up. I'm not buying this. Oh, we're looking to play out from back all the time. I'm not at the moment. I may be proved wrong, but at the moment, I'm not.
I agree. I think when people say play out from the back, how often do our midfielders get the ball and turn and move with it? It's little triangles between Revan, Morrison, maybe Tiahi, and then it goes to Revan and it's a long ball, and then it's just trying to not waste time, but I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe just a bit time to just be getting a bit of energy or something. I don't know. But it's not. It's definitely not playing out from the back. It's just trying to not hoof it straight away from the goalkeeper.
Trying to create space in the midfield, like it's trying to create passing lines in the midfield. If you watch the teams that pass it out from the back religiously, I can't remember which game it was, but watching a game whilst I was at work, and the centre backs were in the 18-yard box ready for the goal kick. And they passed it out through the back and progressively moved it forward. Whereas with us, it looks like we try to create passing lines as a inroad to the midfield. But we haven't quite mastered it yet, which is quite annoying to say. Maybe it's because time. Maybe it's because there's no wide outlet as much as well. But
no, we don't have the players. Bramall cannot receive a pass. Rathbone cannot receive a pass.
Revan's look shaky.
Revan is not comfortable enough on the ball. Morrison is turns like a bus. Like we've not got the players. It's trying to do something which might work, but it's trying to do it with players that don't work. So you're looking at trying to. I mean, that Stoke game, the amount of times Bramall would run 10 yards and then think actually no, and then turn back and pass it back. It's almost like he's told them, look, let's keep it. Which is fine, but it's not what they're good at. If that was, if him turning from, if Bramall turns in field and gives it to Rathbone, I'm not thinking, well, right, here we go, he's going to pick out a killer pass. If Bramall was turning back and giving it Barlasser, then you think maybe, all right, something might happen here. But we've not got a cutting edge, and we've said it all. Well, we've said it since Taylor really left. We've not got a cutting edge. We've not got a press. We've not got, we're getting into a lot of stuff here. We don't even half press. It's not like, I mean, I can fully understand if we sit 5 at the back on our own 18-yard line, have them come into our half and try and press them on their halfway line and get in on that way. When Nombe had his one-on-one against Sunderland, we pressed as a team out and we robbed them, and Nombe had a one-on-one that got saved. I mean, do that another 10 times and he'll score 4 or 5 of them. That's fine. We don't even do that. We don't press high. We don't press from a low block. We don't press. There's so many stats that just say that we do not press. We don't sprint. We don't press. We don't play wide. We don't play at the middle. We've got no idea what we're doing. And I don't think that's Richardson's fault. I think that is a load of information that they think, right, we're playing like this. We're playing out from the back. But if you can't play out from the back, go long. But if you can't go long, try and use the wings. And it's like, well, what do we actually do? And I don't know. As a fan, you watch it and you think, what the hell are we trying to do? As a player, they're probably thinking, this is what we're meant to do, but how do we do it? And if we're meant to do it this way, then why is it not working? And then you're getting into Taylor territory where it's just madness and it's insanity and you're doing the same thing over and over again. Sorry, this is a massive rant, but
yeah, I was thinking that.
But yeah,
I know what you're saying, but we are 10 times more solid though now than we were under Taylor. So I think Liam Richardson sacrificed not any, but a lot of offensive actions, a lot of positive actions in the top end of the pitch to make us much more solid defensively. And I think that is going to hurt us scoring goals. It's definitely hurting us scoring goals, but we're probably not going to concede 4 and 5 goals anymore this season. And I think he's had to make that sacrifice. That's how I read it anyway. Might be wrong.
Oh, now you've said it. We're going to concede 4 to Middlesbrough, aren't we?
Yeah, we will. Yeah. Early red card, early penalty.
But I do agree with that, Matt, though, because I think even if we do concede 4 to Borough, like we don't look like we would have done. I don't know. It's weird. He's cut out individual mistakes that are costing us, which is fine. But by doing so, he's made them less confident on the ball, and it shows we're confident defending. We love to defend, putting bodies on the line, this, that, and the other. We look like we enjoy defending, but going forward, none of them look like they want to. It's even, the only player that really looks like he does is Klukas, and that's only because he's been around for, he's an £8 million player. He knows how to play in those conditions, and none of them seem like they do. I mean, Christ at the start of the season was one of our calmer players, and even now he looks rushed. He looks, what do I do? He's passing it backwards, and we've not got any kind of composure anymore. We've not on the ball. This is off the ball. I think we're fine, but on the ball we just don't have composure, threat, pace. Just everything lacks. I mean, you look at Luton and they're quick, they're direct, they get balls out wide, they get balls into the box. They had 50 or something crosses against Chelsea when they lost, and it's like, and they lost. They got, they get balls into the box, and if defenders are defending their 6-yard box for the best part of a half an hour, then they're going to eventually lapse in concentration, concede. One of the shots is going to go in. One of the crosses is going to find a man. It's basic stuff. No, we just don't. We don't cross it. I'm going to go again. Stop.
You can't trust him to cross it though. Look at Bramall. Look at Bramall. His crosses go in or elsewhere. Look at that cross map here at end of Stoke game. We're an absolute joke.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have even
can't do it.
No, we can't, and that's where you think, where was the plan from Taylor? Because he brought in players who, Bramall was Warren's player, but even so, you look at Revan can cross a ball, but why is he being played centre back and Bramall's not? Play Bramall centre back. I don't care. Just play someone who can cross in the bloody ball. And Ferguson coming back is great. He can put in a delivery. Lucas can put in a set piece, but he's not gonna put it in from outside the box, directly in line with the net. He's not going to put a ball in like that. And a Doffin's not going to go on a marauding overlap and put in a delicious ball. Kioso might be able to, but whatever. Peltier kind of can if he can get the legs there. You know, we are almost we're really struggling in the areas where you think we'd really dominate. I mean, you have Kelly, Hugel, and Eves as your three out of your 4 strikers. Who 3 of those players are fantastic target men, great at winning headers and any sort. I mean, you saw Eves' goal against Blackburn. That was Revan crossing from the right, a decent ball in, and Eves doing all he could to score. That is how simple it is and can be. Again, with Eves missing from under the bar, which we won't talk about, but again, it came from a cross in the box, and it's you look at it and you just think, where are we going wrong? I'm no tactical expert. I don't know how to pull the left back from Stokes, 6-man midfield or whatever it is to come across. But Richardson and Paul Green, sure, is it Paul? I can't.
Kelly?
No, Green, the first team coach.
Oh, Dan Green.
Dan Green and Rob Kelly. Surely one of them can think, right, this is how we play to get it to these areas. And it seems very basic to me that, yeah, cool, we can defend now. We really can defend. Let's focus on attacking. And it seems like we're really just disregarding that. And even the last 2 goals I can remember us scoring, other than Blackburn, were Clucas and Bramall, and them 2 were just 1 in 100. Bramall's is probably 1 in 1,000.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, ran over. Sorry, guys. Dial off now.
You're all right. You mentioned Kiosa, Danny. We may see Peter Kiosa. Liam Richardson was asked in his interview about Peter Kiosa. He's asked, is he fit? Is he fit and available? And his answer was a very straight answer. Yes, he's trained this week. That was it. He didn't say yes, he's available. He didn't say yes, he's going to play. It was, yeah, he's trained this week. It looks like he was just ill. I think that's everybody seems to have calmed down on that one, thankfully. Sorry, everybody. But Kiosa might well be the guy we're shouting out for at the minute. Just somebody who can go forward. I'm pretty sure he can put a ball in. I may be proved wrong on Saturday on that one, but I think he's okay at putting crosses in. It's going to allow us to attack from both wing back positions. I think he's going to be an important type of player to have available.
Yeah, and he's a bit more defensively orientated as well, and can organise it as well. That's why he was made Peterborough's chairman, captain, even though he was on loan.
Did they make him chairman as well?
Well,
that's a bold move.
It wouldn't have surprised me either, to be fair. But yeah, so everyone can put the knives away. He was just ill. God, that meltdown on Twitter when he wanted squad. Good grief, that was so funny. Like all Peterborough fans chiming in, and then to be told off by Darren McAnthony going, that's not helping us trying to get him back either. It was legit like a slapstick comedy show. That's how it came across on Twitter. But anyway, Peterborough fans keep chiming on. It basically makes us want to keep him even more and to raise his price up for you. So keep going, it's fine. But yeah, I think Kioso's outlet down the right hand sides will provide just something different as well, because he likes to get forward, but he's also a lot more solid than Len McKeesa was. I noticed that Len McKeesa got knocked off the ball far, far too easily. Yeah. Whereas Kioso's built in the politest way possible, more like a tank than Len McKeesa was. So at least he looks like he won't get knocked off the ball as easily, which is something that will provide a benefit to us. But it also allows us to have a different outlet. We can now go wide from playing it out from the back, and then we can carry it forwards a bit better or chase after the ball a bit better, not just have to hoof it to Hugel or Eves or whoever. Richardson saying that he's trained this week says to me he might not be starting Saturday, but he's
imagine the meltdown.
I know, but if he gets named in, if he gets named in the squad, then he's done his 2 teams and he can't play for anybody else.
Sure. If it comes on.
If it comes on, all right, okay. So we'll see what happens with that. But for me personally, I think that's a hint that he won't be starting; he'll be on the bench. And then when he comes on, then he'll be ours for the rest of the season because he won't go back to Peterborough. Anyway, sorry, moving on.
I think the rest of him almost picks itself, Mick, because there's nobody else available. The one question is Eves or Kelly. Eves or Hugel, apologies. Eves or Hugel. I think it's going to be pretty unanimous, but I assume it's Eves.
Eves, yeah, move on.
Yeah,
It's got to be because Hugo's just not been doing it. Tom Eves has played when he started. He's played well. He's been involved in the game. He's been involved in the press. He's scored. Why would you change that around? I don't understand why we changed it around against Stoke City. So unless Eves had picked up a knock or something in training, I don't know. But you'd start Eves every day of the week because he's the man in form in that position.
Yeah,
it's that simple, really. Yeah.
A few people mentioned Chelsea said we need a wide man. Talajibola is twiddling his thumbs. Nombe could be a makeshift wide man, for instance. Talajibola is a left back. I wouldn't trust Talajibola to play any further forward than it could do a job.
you can cross the ball though.
It can cross the ball. You're absolutely right. It can cross the ball. Phil says why we're not free of wage and allow Revan to go back to introduce Bowler. Revan's better than Bowler.
Yeah, no, sorry, that wasn't. But
Okay.
but Bowler got the best mile time other than Crooks in the whole of history. Whatever. Why is he? And he can cross the ball. I just throw him in there rather than Bramall. At this point, I think he's been a good player. I'm kind of fed up with Bramall. I think he's low on confidence. I think the same as him I did with Dexter. There's a player there, but he's too low on confidence. Same as Rathbone. I'd drop them both, not through anything other than just give them a rest and see what happens, and bring in Cafu and Bowler. Why not?
I think starting Bowler will be a brave decision because he's been around the squad training, but just not. Like the first time we saw his name on the team sheet this season was against Fulham, so that says to me he's back in the 25-man squad at least, which was a strange decision in itself. But again, Bowler's one of them where it's just like he could do a job from the bench where we really need, where the opposition's tiring and we need the ball in the box consistently. Bowler could do a job on the left-hand side and swap him out for Bramall. But I just don't think Bowler's there yet. If he does start against Middlesbrough, I'll be very surprised. If he plays well, I'll be even more surprised. But I actually hope that he does do that. To be fair, he's one of them players I want him to come in and just take the squad by storm, because it'd be testament to how Bowler was sort of like put to one side when really he should have been more involved. Because we've seen what Bowler's like. All right, fair enough, it was in pre-season, but he's like you say, Matt. He's one of them where he could do the job when we need the job doing.
He is, but at the same time, you've got now 3 managers that don't really fancy him. Paul won't never fancied him enough to start him, or compared to Matt Taylor didn't fancy him at all. And so far, although Liam Bristol will have seen him trade from day one, and he's not really fancied him to play. So maybe were we building him up? Is he a better player because he's not played for us? Maybe, I don't know. We've always sort of fancied him a bit on here, but I don't know.
He could be a better player because he's got a point to prove.
Maybe.
I think.
There's always that. And he's playing for a contract. He's out of contract somewhere, I think, as well. He desperately needs to play for a contract. Anyway, predictions, because we've gone massively long. Nick, 2-1 to Millers?
2-1 Millers, yeah.
Scenes. Tom?
Yeah, 2-0 Borough. No.
I don't like that one. Danny?
0-0.
0-0. We're going to win, guys. It's going to be a 1-0 win. It's going to be dirty, horrible 1-0 win. Just like it were in New York Stadium. It's going to be a horrible 1-0.
Well, I always go for Rotherham win, and never happens. So hopefully I'm still bottom come next week. I'm
ready for us to win so I can have a shave. To be honest with you, it's time. It's been 3 months for me, or whatever it's been. It's just time. What I do want to do as well, I feel like we are really negative on this podcast recently, and understandably because we've been rubbish. So there's homework for everybody this week. Homework, guys. So on the Middlesbrough game, I just want something good or funny or positive you can take from the Middlesbrough game.
Funny.
It doesn't have to be, or just funny, yeah. It didn't have to be, that were a really good cross by Revan or something like that. Just something that made you smile or laugh during the game. Okay. That's what I want, because we need to smile more on this podcast.
Yeah, okay.
We just need to smile more. And if Rotherham aren't going to do it for us, we're going to do it ourselves. So there's your homework, everybody. Don't forget, because I definitely will.
So like I'll remember.
24, I didn't think I'd be getting homework again. Jesus.
There you go. So there's your homework, everybody. 5-0 to Borough, says Scott Kent. Here you go. There's the positivity coming in. Harry says 2-0 to Borough. So does Palmer. Steve Gunny says 1-1. Sarah Ogden says 3-0 to Borough. So does Phil. And Reg. Reg is my new friend. Reg has 3-1 to the Millers. Thank you very much, Reg. Unbeaten in the last 2 games at Middlesbrough. 3-0 victory and a 0-0 draw in the last 2 games at the Riverside.
With their bogey team.
With their bogey team, that apparently. Yeah. There you go. Anything else, boys? Last shout for anything else.
Yeah, Troy Deeney's been sacked.
Troy Deeney's been sacked.
Yeah.
So,
After, what is it? Is it 6 games?
6 games.
Yeah.
He's just got a 4-game ban, touchline ban and all.
Yeah.
Did he get caught?
Oh,
Did he get caught eating an hamburger in changing rooms?
No, but they don't sell them at Forest Green, do they?
Well, he's going to sneak to Mackey's in, won't he? That's where it'll be.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you everybody for being with us tonight. Make sure you have subscribed on YouTube if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up. Do check out also the scouting report if you want to find out a bit more about Borough and what to expect from them coming up on Saturday afternoon. We will be back on Sunday evening, which will be a review of this game. Plus, that's it, really. There's nothing else to talk about, I don't think. There's no midweek game. There is obviously no game next week, so I don't know what we're going to do for an episode next week, but we'll figure something out.
When's the homework going to come into it?
Sunday, we'll do the. I want to see your homework returned in on Sunday, please. Sunday.
I'm sorry, Matt, the dog's eating it.
So let us know if you found just message us on, send us a DM or email or whatever. If you've got a funny moment from the Middlesbrough game, share it and we'll go through a load of them if there are any. If you're on iTunes, Spotify, again, subscribe on there and give us a 5-star rating where it allows you to do so. Thank you for being with us in the comments as well tonight. Mick, you've outdone in ranting tonight.
I know.
How do we feel?
I feel great. It's great that I'm having my sort of. I'm the positive one. Who knew?
2024.
Well, thank you, Mick. Sort it out next time for Sunday, yeah?
Yeah, man. Dan and Bond and Keith Stroud, so they'll do that for me on Saturday afternoon. Don't you worry about that.
Very true. Very true. Danny, appreciate you being back with us tonight. It's always good fun, mate.
Yeah, always a pleasure. I know he's probably not watching, but I just want to say happy birthday to Dan Barlaster because it's his birthday today.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Dan.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Imagine.
And Tom, thank you for being with us, mate. We've got a new rant man on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's always a new one.
It's like group therapy. It's really nice.
Do you feel
really
better now as well?
Yeah, I feel so zen right now. I'm just gonna fall onto my bed now and just pass out.
I'm gonna have to get my flag remade. Tom ranting down.
Real. Thank you everybody with us, sticking with us to the next episode tonight. Thank you all. We will see you next time. And always, as always, up to the Millers.
Up Millers.
Slides into Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dauphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favor, drop me off